Oslo. Hello, everyone. So good to be here. And my name is Faisal Mutar, and I'm here to share with you my journey. I grew up in a family of 7. My dad is a doctor, my mom is a lawyer. Stereotypical Middle Eastern family. 2 of my brothers are doctors, and 2 are engineers. And there is me, the failure. I recently got an honorary doctorate from a university in California. And my mom's first response was, "You already have 3 siblings as doctors. It was not a big deal." I don't know what's sometimes more difficult, combating extremism and authoritarianism, or making my mom happy. So I was born in the city of Babylon, in case you have read the Bible that exists there, and I was raised in Baghdad. We relocated to Baghdad because my dad is one of the very few orthopedic surgeons, so we had to relocate to the neighborhood where former Saddam Hussein generals used to live in. My parents, and especially my dad, instilled in us a great sense of curiosity and knowledge about the world. In fact, one of the main things that I remember I love about my parents was we used to grill chicken and kebabs and discuss everything under the sun, from science, philosophy, and literature. And one of my dad's favorite quotes to me was, "Faisal, just because I'm your dad doesn't mean I'm right." After the fall of Saddam Hussein, the neighborhood that we used to live in turned from a residential neighborhood where kids are playing football, or Americans call it soccer, football in the streets, to a terrorist headquarters. And then this happened. Al-Qaeda, in March 15, 2004, blew up a police station nearby my high school. Our headmaster, unsure what to do, told us to seek refuge in the uncertainty outside. Dodging bullets for more than 45 minutes. As I was leaving the school, a speeding car came so close of ending my life. Me and my friend tried to seek shelters in the homes nearby, but we were only met with rejection. That was as a 13-year-old, that was my first experience being so close to death. It was at that time and at that moment I decided to take agency over my own life. But unfortunately, it kept getting worse. The school bus that used to take us to and from school sometimes has to stop by dead bodies, as many of the death squads and the militias used to compete about how many people they have killed every day. And it can come from neighborhoods from East Baghdad to West Baghdad and in between. I grew up very desensitized to this, and it kept getting worse and worse. In 2007, I lost my brother, my cousin, and many of my friends. However, I'm so glad to say that some of my friends are here with us at the Oslo Freedom Forum stage. So welcome, please stand up. But in the middle of all of this chaos, somehow life continued. I remember that even when there was a suicide attack or in an open market or a closed market, you see within a couple of hours, Iraqis used to fix up the street, try to fix the glass on the stores, and sometimes with the scars on their head, and of course, scars in their heart. So for me at the time, even though I was a teenager, I had 2 choices to make. Either to be part of the problem or be part of the solution. Either to submit to these extremists or terrorists or fight them. So I joined the latter. First, as a teenager, I didn't have a lot of skills, but the first act of activism was speaking out. Speaking out against what the extremists trying to divide us all, trying to put us against each other. And then by joining the Sons of Iraq, which was a movement that is operating in West Iraq and West Baghdad that were on the front lines of fighting terrorists and extremists in my neighborhood and in the rest of the country. So with that, it brings me, again, a very great sense of pride for me to share this story, because many of these people who are with us at that fight are not alive today. So this is what always is emotional to me, because these are memories that of the people. One of the biggest fears I had growing up was that the people that I may meet on any given day, I don't know if I'm going to see them tomorrow. So at the end of that fight, unfortunately, I survived 3 kidnapping attempts, and I ended up on a death list, which forced me to leave my country on a one-way ticket from Iraq to Lebanon, from Lebanon to Malaysia, and from Malaysia to the United States, to eventually get accepted after 3 years of being there. 1 year after I landed in America, I met Melissa Chen. Melissa is from Singapore, where women are freely able to walk at 3 in the morning, and me from Iraq, where I had to walk on dead bodies going to school. Our experiences couldn't be any different. But we both shared the belief and that the ideas, and most importantly, important ideas about freedom and democracy should prevail. The story of Iraq teaches us that you cannot bomb democracy and freedom into countries. People cannot, thank you. People cannot fight for freedom and democracy if they don't know what this even means. To give you a brief history of Iraq, and I'm not a historian, but I'm going to give you the 30 seconds, I guess, dumb version of Iraq, is that Iraq started as a country after the fall of the Ottoman Empire in World War I. The king was killed by the communists. The socialists killed the communists, and then Americans hanged Saddam Hussein. This is the history of Iraq 101. This is how the country started, and this is how eventually the United States came in 2003, thinking that everybody is going to welcome them with flowers, and everybody has read Thomas Jefferson. Unfortunately, Thomas Jefferson is not translated into Arabic, which brings me to the story of how I started my organization, Ideas Beyond Borders. Ideas Beyond Borders' mission is simple. Actually, it's not simple. It's straightforward, but ambitious. Is to empower people in Iraq and around the region with the knowledge, resources, and skills for them to forge their own paths and form their own opinions, just like the way I did growing up with my parents. Through initiatives like Beit al-Hikmah 2.0. So Beit al-Hikmah translates to the House of Wisdom. The House of Wisdom, for those of you who don't know, used to be a translation house in Baghdad that used to translate the works of the great empires of Rome and Greek into the languages spoken across the region. And we started to start Beit al-Hikmah 2.0 to revive this golden era, to revive the time where the Middle East, where people used to come to revive the time where Baghdad used to be a place people want to visit than want to escape. To our surprise, we grew from 0 subscribers to 8.5 million subscribers, all the way from Iraq to Morocco to Afghanistan and every country in between. Thank you. And then it got even better. Our content was viewed more than 300 million times, and then many of the people start messaging us. Which is like, you are translating the works that advocate democracy and liberalism and freedom of speech, and we want to act on these values. So after conversations with Tyler Cohen from Mercator Center to other people who are focused on empowering and economic development, we came with the program, the Innovation Hub. And then amazing applications and requests start coming in from people who are subscribing to us, but also from the adjacent communities. And then one of our first projects was supporting a group of teachers, I kid you not, a group of teachers running underground schools in Afghanistan, providing girls' education, even though the Taliban bans that. Second to that was a new liberal political parties that are being currently formed in Iraq and all across the region. And then we start empowering startups and businesses who come up with wild but amazing ideas that now have hired more than 35,000 refugees and low-income people from Iraq to Lebanon and all across the region. What does this tell us? What it tells us is that people in Iraq and the region are hungry for change. Unlike Iraq, unlike a lot of other regions, is that we have tried all the bad ideas. We have tried socialism, communism, and theocracy. So now nobody actually needs to teach us about how bad ideas actually are. We lived under them. And many of the young people are looking for an alternative, and that actually explains why a lot of people come to us as the third alternative or the third wave. So tomorrow, I will be doing a book signing of our first book, The Untold Stories of the Middle East, where you can hear and meet many of these amazing, phenomenal people who are on the front lines of creating change in their own country. Ladies and gentlemen, so happy to talk to you. And I want to leave you with this quote. Many people ask me, why should I care about the Middle East? I mean, I live in America, so it's quite geographically distant. But they're like, it's too far away, it doesn't affect us. But I always have to remind them, as the events right now unfolding in the Middle East and across the West, is that the Middle East is the opposite of Las Vegas. What happens in the Middle East doesn't stay in the Middle East. So together, and only together, where there are people from the region on our side, we can turn the tide against extremism and authoritarianism and empowers a new generation that can move their countries from darkness into the light of freedom and prosperity. Thank you so much, Oslo. Thank you.